Hello and welcome to another episode of Pobgawatch. It has been a minute. It's been a minute since we actually caught up with you guys. This is the eighth episode of Pobgawatch this season. I'll be honest. The reason we weren't really pushed to do it is because you guys weren't watching, and you guys weren't watching because your boy Paula Bill wasn't necessarily pulling up any trees. But you know what? Few words from Mino, an Instagram post from Pogba, bit of a middle wing play, the rise of Bruno Fernandes, and he's actually gone through some of his best form in a minute. And to discuss that, all things Pogba now and looking forward, I've got obviously Pogba Watch regular, Sebby. How's it going, brother?
What's up, brother? What's up, brother?
Yeah. And Pogba aficionado, Elijah. How you doing, Elijah?
I'm good. I'm good.
We're
We
eating well,
move.
brother. We're eating well. As I was just
So good.
discussing with you guys, since the last episode of Pobgawatch, he's actually played 8 games. So all the games from West Ham all the way up to Aston Villa. Since you're the new guy on the block, Elijah, gonna start with you. For my money, he's been really good, and this has been some of his best form with us since his whole time at the club. What have your thoughts been on the last month or so of Pogba performances?
Yeah, I actually agree. I think his form has been pretty decent. So from just all those games, I can only really think of probably Wolves and Leicester, where he wasn't great. The Leicester game, he came on to kind of salvage something, and he just didn't really do much. Wolves, it was a poor team performance overall, but he contributed in terms of not moving the ball quick enough, and he was sat kind of deep. But really and truly, ever since he's been played in this left wing role, well, after the international breaks, since he's been playing in this left wing role, he's been pretty good. Even though I don't like it, he's been pretty good, especially versus. Personally, I really thought he was actually really good against Man City as well. Not in terms of on the ball, but just tactically, I feel like that was an impressive performance in terms of the space he was picking up, the tracking back as well, and then there were the games against Sheffield United, the pass from Martial, the flick for the second Rashford goal. Against Villa, he was basically just our creative hub, which is what we always want to see from Pogba. So most of the good things we've done in the first half was because of what Pogba was doing. And there was that West Ham game as well, where it, in the first half, though you could see that people were about to get onto him about not doing, but he was actually pretty good. But
That's
he was still
actually my favorite performance from him in this whole period, personally.
seriously.
Yeah,
I've,
yeah. Taking away, that's fine. You're free to disagree. That's been
yeah,
my
yeah.
favorite.
Because I think in that first half, he was okay in a bad bunch, and then second half really came
He
to life.
spazzed on there.
But
One thing I noticed about Pogba and just people's perception of him, yeah, he one. I think as good as it is, his passing is underrated, and he has a
yeah,
tendency to make very difficult passes, but the technique that he uses to do them is so casual, it almost kind of makes people like overlook the passes. And I think even
yeah,
in that first half against West Ham, like you say, he was okay out of a bad bunch, but he still like he evaded pressure a couple of times and he found Donny a few times between the lines. That was probably the first match I was like, whoa, Donny, I need a bit more from you, son. And
yeah,
he wasn't
yeah,
able to quite do it. So that first half, which was okay, and I thought it was take the goal away. I thought he was really good in the second half, and then when you add the goal to what he did, I feel that was for me was my personal favorite. But continue.
yeah. I think in terms of my personal favorite, do you know what? It's weird, but I think the Leipzig game, I think that one was so good because I feel like as soon as he came on, proper spaz,
Purpose.
and
He came
to
on
be
with
honest,
real purpose.
yeah, he proper done his thing. I think did he play the pass for the first goal that Greenwood ran onto? I can't remember, but
Let me check.
I can't remember. But the second goal
I
was
think I think
involving,
he
and
did. I
yeah,
think he did.
like he came on, and that was the game after Mino's comments as well. So to come
Yeah.
on and do that, and he almost basically salvaged that game for us because if that own goal goes in, then we go through. So, but I think it's just been really good. I've been like it reminds me more of him in 16-17, where he's not putting the numbers on the board, but the performances are just there's more consistency in performances for me. Even if like I said, there were like 1.5 games out of 8 where he went below a standard over a season. You can accept that equates out to about what 4-5 games. Like that's fine. But with Pogba, it was like half games good, half games bad. So but yeah, I've been and then the Villa game, yeah, was really good. He almost messed up at the end with the not taking his corner, and there were the 2 times where he elected to pass it rather than shoot. He has a tendency to do that as well. And then there was the 2 chance he had where he kind of skewed it.
Should have
So,
scored
but
one, or at least got one of them. Though. I think the one on his
yeah,
was it on his left when he didn't get up.
the one is left is the one on left. Yeah, and then the first half he had one on his right, which was harder, but you should still get that on
It's
target.
Pogba, yeah.
Yeah. Apart from that, he was really, really, really good. That's just a Pogba I want to see. But it's a bit disappointing that the only way to get him into our team right now is at left wing, because we don't have a capable defensive midfielder or a capable coach to be able to play with it in a team where we can close space. But that's a whole another
That's a
story.
whole nother conversation. That's Man United watch. Seb, I mean, you are probably the face of the Pogba detractors on Mugger. Um, you are to Pogba what you are to Rashford, but in inverse. But despite that, even on the main pod, you had to concede that he's been in some really good form, and you'd like to see that going forward. Interested to hear from you what during this period, what your favourite Pogba performance has been, and just for you to expand a bit more on what you think's brought about this change in his fortunes.
I think through his period, my favorite Pogba performance would probably be the Villa game, and that's because of what he done defensively as well. As I think I said that on the main pod, is one of my main critiques of Pogba is that he can't defend, he can't tackle, he's always misplacing tackles, and he always seems quite clumsy. On top of that, I feel like he's always like sometimes, in fact, more time he's like running in the mud when it comes to like tracking back. When he's doing that labor track back here, and it's just very, very frustrating to see. However, against Villa, I think one, offensively, he kept it simple. And when he did step it up and show a bit of X factor, we got the goal, flicking it over McGinn's head and getting the move started. And two, the defensive work he done going backwards really, really helped us. Like I remember there was a time where Villa were pressing us in the second half, and he was playing middle wing, and he's like I can't remember. I think he might have been Cash or somebody was on the right, like bombing on, and like just to see him running full pace, tracking back was good. All the interceptions were really, really good, and for me that was really, really positive. Again, I'm in the Pogba boat where if you give me that performance, which it's not probably the best Pogba performance we've ever seen, but if you give me that every single game, I'm happy. For me, that's like a 7 out of 10 performance. If you give me that steadily, along with all the other players, and you do the work rate, because one of the most important things is the work rate, and that's why we were saying that Pogba and Bruno can't play together, because Pogba don't work hard enough offensively. You can't have 2 people just gunslinging. Do you know what I mean? Somebody's got to do the defensive work. So again, if you give me that Pogba who's going to defend, and I'm not asking you to do anything special, even though I know that's in your locker. If you just give me a simple Pogba, X factor here and there, I'm happy to have that all season, man, to be honest.
Agreed. It's an interesting time for him, just because obviously, like I mentioned, we had the Mino comments ahead of the Leipzig game, and he is coming into at the end of the season. It'll be the last season of his contract. Elijah, we were discussing it in the Mugger chat earlier, and Sebby as well. I've said I'm of the opinion that he's probably going to leave at the end of the season. You said 50-50, Elijah. That 50-50, what's your thought process behind that? And what do you think will be the deciding factor depending on which direction he goes in?
I think the 50-50 will be in terms of, I think two things for me. I think it's the market. So in terms of, is coronavirus going to ease by this point? Because Fabrizio Romano was saying last summer, if coronavirus wasn't there, he was 100% going last summer to Juve. So, but is that going to be there? So I think it depends on the market, and I think it depends on what we do this season. Because I think the reason why Pogba wants to leave is not because he hates United or he hates Oli or whatever. I think he just wants to get the trophies that he thinks his talent deserves. So if I think United show that we're closer than you think in that regard, I think he might, and then we convince him with another contract with more money and just in general, just something, a package that can appeal to him. I think that he could stay. But if the market is looking better and United are looking like the also rans that we've looked at our best of times over these recent years, then I think he will go. So I do think it depends on what we see going forward. Yeah.
Fair enough. And where do you stand, Seb? What do you think happens with Pogba in the summer? Are you like Elijah? You think it's still on the fence, or do you think he's going, or do you think he's staying?
I think Pogba's going just depending on if like a club can afford them. A club can afford them. Sorry. It's literally dependent on other factors. So if clubs can afford him and he wants to go, i.e., say like a PSG, Juve, Real Madrid, or whatever, if they can afford him, I think he's gone. I do agree with Elijah in some aspects where I think the reason why he wants to go is because he wants to win trophies. But regardless of what we do this season, I feel like the damage has been done, and I feel like that ship's sailed. On top of that, United's, are the links with Grealish are strengthening. The links with special, well, another special player in Sancho, those are rekindled. So, and then also you've got that Salcedo guy. So I think with, even if you get Grealish and Salcedo, I think you replace Pogba in midfield with a deeper midfielder who can do the defensive work, and then you get Grealish in on the left, you get Bruno gunslinging, you've got Van der Beek there, you've got adequate cover. So yeah, I just think he'll be gone, and it's not because, again, as Elijah said, he hates United. I just feel like the damage has been done. He's jaded, and he probably wants to go win trophies.
Agreed. Obviously, Juventus in that case, the low hanging fruit. He's already got 4 trophies there. I think he was in one Champions League final side as well. So with them, especially with Ronaldo, who has no intention of slowing down anytime soon, the league is pretty much a given. I know AC Milan are giving them a tough go of it this season, but I think their quality we'll see out in the end. And then the Champions League, depending on how things go, at least you get to the quarterfinals or so. So I think that he's probably going to leave as well. I think COVID will affect the price we get. I think in a normal market, we probably get 60 for him, a player of his talent level, even with a year left on his contract. I don't think that on the continent, his reputation has gone down as much as it's gone down here. I think in Europe, especially Italy and Spain, they're much better at recognizing what a player's skill sets are, and then having the idea of what is the best system to get the best out of said player. I think here it's very much kind of like, to get out there, just make it happen. You're a good player, you cost loads of money, you're supposed to play well. And I think we can acknowledge over the years that we've seen that Pogba, for all his abilities, thrives in certain roles, and in other roles he doesn't do so well. I think he's over it. Like, the press here is obsessed with him. The fans have booed him at points. You've got people like Seb using their platform to take shots at him. So I mean, with all that being said, why would you stay? Why would you stay? I think if we can be successful this season, that makes it even sweeter. But is that success even sustainable? This has been a season unlike any other. We kind of sneakily have strength in depth as well. When we're not actually getting a rest this summer. 22 and 22. Let's go, man. Yes, Pogba signed the thing. Pogba signed the thing, and let's keep it moving, man.
Oh,
He's really, when he is on song, he is a really really delightful player to watch. The next thing I'm going to ask you guys is let's come together and let's give him a rating for this period. Usually, listeners of Pobgawatch will know that we do this on a week by week basis, but as I say, the math weren't mathing. I know how many patrons we have, and the views were not making sense. Yeah, so as long as you guys watch it, we will produce Pobgawatch. But if you're just gonna watch it when he plays well, which you guys know is not necessarily always gonna happen, then we're gonna be just as sometime-ish, yeah. But if you promise us you're sharp every week, then we'll make sure we do this every week. So let's give him a rating for the period from the West Ham game up to the Villa game. I'll start with you first, Seb. What would you give Pogba a rating for this period that he's in right now?
I'll give him a 7 out of 10. Yeah, I think 7 out of 10 is fair for Pogba. Again, I don't think he's been phenomenal by his standards, but again, he's had some really good games, and I don't think he's dropped below average. Do you know what I mean? So to kind of round it up, I'll probably give him a 7 out of 10 for his performance during this period.
Okay, Elijah, how about yourself, sir?
Yeah, it's hard because I want to judge Pogba for the player he is and not what we've seen a lot of times.
Interesting. Elaborate on that. This is your first time on Pogba.
Because really, for if you're speaking normally, these stretch of performances have been good. They've been decent, but it's not been anything mind blowing. And like if any other player gave it, I would normally say 6.5 out of 6.5. That's what I would go with. But because of the back of his poor form, which really started at the end of last season in that Southampton game, and then with COVID and everything, and just the general mess of the team, I might push it to a 7. But that's me being generous, to be fair. But yeah, I feel like I feel like us even rating this period and being impressed with this period is more of an indictment on Pogba than anything else. Because
listen, that's not the type of Pobgawatch this episode is, Elijah. Yeah, save that energy for the main pod.
No, because it's the same thing. Like, people go too far with the negatives, and they'll go too far with the positives.
The positives.
You got to be consistent.
I hear you. So you're kind of bringing balance to the universe.
Of
basically.
Course, you got to be consistent.
Thanos.
Yeah, man.
Thanos scripto.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I'll give him a 7 just because I feel like the good performances were even a good performance. I wouldn't push above like a 7.5 or 8, which is it's weird. But I do feel like us people rating this period is really bad on Pogba's part anyway, because this should be normal form for him.
It should be his base level. Yeah, agreed. But yeah, well, 5 years in, and we know otherwise. Yeah, I'd agree with you guys. I'd give him a 7 out of 10. I think even as much as I like that game against West Ham, I probably wouldn't go over. I'd probably give him an 8 because of the goal. But yeah, other than that, I think he's probably been between 7.5 maybe at his best. So I think from everything we've seen, if he can maintain this level, and like we discussed on the main pod, Bruno continues to, no matter how he plays, at least get an assist or create a chance which leads to goal and score one himself. Rashford will be Rashford 1 and 2. And now we've got the additions of Bailly and potentially Martial starting to be among the goals again. I think then we can start to take this potential title race seriously. But I think he will have a big part to say in that, because as much as you say that this period has been a damning indictment, Elijah, the replacements for him are dire. They're dire. Like the likes of Fred and McTominay, they are together one good player. Like,
but that's what I was saying earlier. People are saying if Pogba keeps this form up, we can challenge for the league. They do not say that about Fred and McTominay's good form.
They know, but we know the vibe. So the thing is, Fred and McTominay, they play for the shirt, innit? And what people mean by Fred plays for the shirt is Fred is average, and he's trying as much as he can. They won't get angry at him for being average because he can't help being average. Pogba, you're better than your performances. And the responsibility within that is yourself. We can talk about Oli, we can talk about systems, but when you're miscontrolling the ball, when you're one of the best passers in the world, but you're not able to find your teammates consistently at times, when you're supposed to have a good engine, but you're letting guys run off you consistently, exposing Matic, that is not forgivable. That's within your gift to improve, and you're choosing not to. So I get it. It's nonsensical. And when we disagree and we say Pogba, people always give us that, oh, you're so dumb, you're capping for Pogba, you're riding for Pogba, you see that he does no wrong. No, not at all. We acknowledge his failings at all times, and we acknowledge that he's not showing as much as he can show. But when you tell me that the alternatives are Scott McTominay and Fregi, so, bruv, it will take a lot for me to not... Even that game against Southampton that you mentioned, and even Seb agreed at the time, I said the mistake that we made was, as bad as he was, you do not take off Pogba. You do not take off Pogba. You brought on Fred. He was just running around. Then you brought on McTominay. I think in his 15 minutes, he did not touch the ball. He had no intention of getting on the ball and slowing the game down. And we see this in all our games, guys. There's a period of the game where we lose control of the game and we're just having to deal with wave after wave of attack because the central midfielders we have, they cannot slow the tempo down. They cannot control it in any way. And that's why every game to me almost feels like it comes down to how well are the opponent's attackers going to take the opportunities that come their way. Yeah, but let's not digress. Pobgawatch, he's been a 7 out of 10 for a month. Pretty good going, to be honest with you. Long may it continue.
Is this the best month he's had? What, just in terms of performances?
Whatever.
Yeah, for United.
I think so. We talk about what's your favourite Pogba season?
People will say the Ibra season.
When you say people, does that include you?
No.
So what's your favourite Pogba season?
I ain't gonna lie, I don't have one.
Okay, what's your least detested Pogba season? The one who pissed you off in the least?
Might be when it was banging the pens, bro, and he scored like 12 goals.
And he was top on all the attacking metrics.
Yeah, it might be that
season. Man. Yeah. That season he was actually good. Nah, he was actually good that season.
Was that 18-19?
Yeah, 18,
I mean, no, 17-18, sorry.
17-18.
No. That was 18-19. 17-18, we still had...
Yeah, 18-19 because of 19-20-21. Yeah,
18-19.
But that season, he had those stinkers that he had, yeah. Brighton away, Southampton away.
Southampton is one of the worst midfield performances. Full stop. Just one of the worst midfield performances. Did he have the Newcastle game that season, though?
I think, was it that when, what's that Lerma was on Pogba? I think
ate him up, man. Ate him up. Was that the season where he played? We played against Newcastle, and he was like, he was brilliant in that. He was brilliant in that game.
Yeah. So, but that was in October, I think, and then Southampton was in December. So, I mean, I generally think he does not have a consistent month. Where I thought, apart from the Ibra season, I think December of the Ibra season, he was really good too. But then after that, he got a trim for the Liverpool game, and then it all went to pot.
Man. So we are actually witnessing Pogba's best period of form since he's got here. I mean, long at last. Let's see if he can maintain this level.
That's really poor. But yeah, that is really poor.
Do you think in his play, do you see a player that, like, do you feel like he trusts Bruno, he trusts the attackers more? Or do you think
now?
Do you think that's had an impact on his performances?
Only now. Do you know what? Yeah, literally. Oh, go on, Elijah.
I think he trusted Martial. I think him and Martial have just been boys, because that Martial's he only moves for Pogba, and Pogba and Martial, they try and look up on the left. Rashford also since like 18-19, they've been get a relationship with that ball over the top. Bruno maybe. I mean, yeah, I can see it a bit, but I don't think that's. I don't think like that's an excuse. Like, just do your own thing, bro. Like, you're not performing for other people. Perform for yourself first, and that will put you in better stead than trying
Agreed.
to do other
Agreed.
people's job, which is basically what, like, that's been his whole downfall, to be honest, because he thinks he has to do everything because we're so bad. He can't. But
Yeah, you end up doing nothing. Well, jack of all trades, master of none.
yeah.
So I think with that, thank you both for your time. Sebby, as always, a pleasure. Elijah,
Cool, man.
you're always welcome on Pobgawatch. We're hoping that going forward, he'll give you good reason to come on. Another man who's avoided the Pobgawatch earlier in the season. We'll say Nizzy.
Hey, man.
Listen,
Hey.
I don't blame you, mate. I don't blame you. Timmy's been trying to get on for weeks. So yeah,
What?
we'll keep this going. And we'll catch you guys next week.
Cool.
Peace. Nice one.